One of the things that I talk about in the book and talk about in general with my community is that you can create that community before you actually start the product. In fact, you should. So that's something that's really simple. If you, I'm forgetting the name of the app. There's a major app right now that connects people to barbershops, and they just got a really nice round over the past month or
Yeah,
two.
Squire.
Thank you. I always forget the name of it. So props to them. I'm sure they were hanging out in the barbershops just like you probably were, and I was back when they were kids and all that. I'm originally from the East Coast, so back in Jersey, I remember those neighborhood barbershops. They probably did that before they got funding, right? So they already were
Yeah.
building that community. So that's the argument with Built From Now is you can create with whatever resources you've got. And luckily, I've coached hundreds of entrepreneurs at this point. I'm starting to go worldwide with it. And there's people in Africa, there's people in Germany, there's people all over the place who have different sets of resources, and they're all able to glow up in a certain way. You just need to be realistic about what you got and how long it's going to take.
As Malik asks, how would you go about and mismatch an idea versus skill? Is it better to get started on your idea faster if you have the funds, learn the skill yourself, or a combination of the two?
Idea versus skill. I would put the merit into idea. Yeah, because I'm, as you can tell, I'm an octopus. So my background is journalism, and then I do public speaking, and I have my own coaching practice. I have my own book imprint. So I like getting involved and having my hand in different pots. We can get into that, but many different reasons for that. But first, I had to learn the ropes. And so that might be a good example. When I did my first Built From Now, it's my 25th book. My first 10 books were with traditional publishers in New York. So it wasn't like I started printing books, especially back in the day. It wasn't like I was printing books, but first I wrote my book proposal. Then I found an agent. Then that agent and I didn't work out. So I let go of that agent. I got another agent. And then each person I'm talking with, I'm getting game from. So the fact that I'm able to have a publishing imprint now comes from me getting my idea out and learning from all these different people. If I was waiting until I had the skill set to do all this different stuff, then my books wouldn't have came out. I'd still be waiting. So I'd say the idea will be paramount. You can figure out the skills later.
Could not end this conversation. We do have a couple of minutes left without talking about the impacts COVID has on the opportunity to start your own thing. A lot of people were pushed out of their positions last year. People who were making really, really good money had the secure jobs and found out they were not so secure. What would you say to folks who need to get shaken to see, okay, what this moment is opportunity wise? This is something that won't be here 5 years from now.
Correct. I think that's the case for a lot of things. And you know me, we can talk about this for like another hour.
Yeah.
The biggest insight I've learned over the last year or two and trying to share with the people that I support is that you have to own the land versus being a renter. So that doesn't mean you have to start your own business. That means if Facebook, no disrespect to them, but if Facebook or whomever, wherever you're starting to plant your seeds, decides to kick you off the platform or change your algorithm, you're not going to lose everything. That tech metaphor fits a lot of people who've lost their jobs too. I know people who I care about who had a side hustle in the back of their mind, and they're like, that's not going to make enough money, and I got my main job. Suddenly, that main job is gone. And then, as we say in Silicon Valley, they had to spin up this thing. Yeah. They're trying to hustle and make it work, but they didn't build their community yet. You see, it circles back to the beginning of our conversation, building your community before you have to, right? There's, I think of like Russ, I think of a few other folks who have had conversations about the music industry. And they'll say, my company, my business is recession proof. And that means that they, and the music business way more than I do. People are used to getting that money on the road.
Yeah.
And then suddenly they're like, okay, I have to be at home. But if you own your catalog, if you're connected with your fans directly, you're not waiting for Universal or whomever to give you a cosign, to give you more money or whatever, because you're not on the road, then you're able to control that path. That's not saying that you have to quit your job or that if you get laid off that, everything's fine. It's saying always have these multiple streams going. Not just in case, but because that's the way to go, because you're actually able to own that. I have my newsletter list at joindamon.me. I own that. And so when I had my new book coming out, they got the pre-orders, they were going, we have our conversations. That can be taken away by a pandemic or whatever. And so finding ways to create your own community independent of some third parties, including your day job. If you do that, then I think that creates true security, even though that might take a little bit more time than you're used to.